Hi guys, welcome to another Flight Deck 2 Sim tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how we divert to an alternate airfield using my company's operating procedures. Now to do that, what I have simulated is a full flight from Birmingham in the United Kingdom all the way to Tenerife South, and we are currently holding at the initial approach fix into Tenerife for runway 07. And we'll just imagine that we've been told by air traffic control that Tenerife South is closed because the runway is blocked by an aircraft who went off the end of the runway, and it's probably because he didn't watch my landing technique tutorial on how to land a 737-800, and for that reason alone the runway is now closed. So we need to work out where we are going to go. Now the procedure I'm going to show you can be applied at any stage of flight during the cruise if you wanted to divert to an alternate airfield then, but we're just going to do a diversion to an alternate airfield based on our destination. So you can see, as I was saying earlier, we're holding at this waypoint called Bammel, which is the initial approach fix. The first thing we need to work out is where we are going to go. So if I bring up the operational flight plan, you can see on this list here is a list of all our alternate airfields, and you can see at the top we have Golf Charlie X-Ray Oscar. Now that is Tenerife North. The other airports are Gran Canaria, Fuerteventura and Lanzarote. They're all islands in the Canaries. Now you can see there next to GCXO Tenerife North it says C1. That's where the company would like us to go if we had to divert. And it makes sense because Tenerife North is on obviously the same island as Tenerife South, so it's going to be the most convenient for our passengers. Now, based on that requirement, we need to work out if we have enough fuel there as well. So if I bring up the FMC, you can see here, if I select hold, we have this hold available box, and that says 0 + 44. That means we have 44 minutes until we're using our reserve fuel. Now, to show you what that figure is, if we go to init ref, select index and then performance, you can see that figure is 2.2. Now that's the amount of fuel we need to get to Tenerife North Airport, flying the full arrival and procedural approach, and then land with 30 minutes of fuel remaining. We actually have quite a lot more fuel than that. We've got about 3.7 tons, so we should have, well, like I said, 43 minutes of holding time before we get to having to the point where we need to divert to Tenerife North. So based on those requirements, we can plan to divert there. Now we need to put all the information in the FMC. So to do that, the first thing you need to do is select route page and go to page 1, which we have done, and change our destination to wherever you want to go. So let's put the code in for Tenerife North, which is Golf Charlie X-Ray Oscar. Now I bring up the ND, watch what happens when I execute it. It gets rid of all the routing, but it still holds at Bammel, which is quite convenient. We don't want the airplane to start going off in some strange direction. The next thing we need to do is select the arrival. So based on the weather at Tenerife North today, we can expect the easterly runway, so ILS Yankee runway 12. If I just bring up the approach chart there, you can see it. And then we can expect the transition via Basux. Now once we've done that, we can once again select execute, and now we just have to essentially join the dots. So if I bring up the ND, go to plan, extend the range, you can see there's the waypoint Basux, and we're currently holding at Bammel. Now Tenerife obviously has a gigantic mountain on it. It's about 3,700 meters high. We can't obviously go in a certain way. We're essentially going in a straight line. It's going to put us quite close to terrain. So in real life we'd probably get radar vectors around on an approach like this, but we don't have the beauty of radar vectors. So what I'm going to do is route initially to a waypoint called Texel, which is on the one of the arrivals into Tenerife, which is going to guarantee we keep well clear of terrain. So if I select after Bammel Texel and then route direct to Basux, there we go, and click execute, we're essentially going to be well clear of terrain, and we're also flying an arrival very similar to what people could expect going into Tenerife North. So that is pretty much it. The FMC is loaded. We'll update cruise shortly when we exit the hold. Now we'd obviously have to do a PA to notify our passengers, tell them the bad news, that someone didn't watch my landing technique tutorial and we're having to divert, and then we'd essentially have to rebrief and reset up for the ILS into Tenerife North. So we'll tell ATC that we're now ready, and they've told us to route direct to Texel, which I'll bring to the top and simply execute, and in LNAV the aircraft will now turn. So you can see the current time now is 1853 Zulu. We expect to land in Tenerife North at 1906 Zulu, so just about 13 minutes. It's quite a short flight, and now all I need to do is set up for the approach for the ILS Yankee in Tenerife North. Well, hello again guys and welcome back. We're still en route to Texel. All I've done in 2 or 3 minutes I was gone was set up for the ILS Yankee runway 12 to Tenerife North. All I've essentially changed is the courses for the ILS, the frequency for the ILS, which is tuned both sides to 108.7, and the minimums as well, which is 2,378 feet. Very high altitude airfield, and most people that use this aircraft a lot will know how frustrating it is to having to wait to use your mouse wheel to set that. Hopefully PMDG will fix that if they make any subsequent update with this aircraft. So we're turning right now inbound to Basux, which is the initial approach fix. You can see Tenerife North is out there. And you can imagine we're now going to get radar vectors for this approach. So imagine they've gone fly deck to sim, radar vectors for ILS Yankee runway 12, turn right heading 060 degrees. And that's set, so heading select. Now we need to update the FMC all the time as we're no longer going to Basux. So now we're under vectors and we've already been told to reset MCP altitude. We can just route direct to a sensible waypoint, which is CI12, which is the 10-mile point, and click execute. And it already tells you, look, to reset MCP altitude, and you can see the aircraft look is going, yeah, can we start descent now please? I think that's because of the restrictions more than anything, because 6,000 feet isn't that high. We need to be at above 4,000 feet CI12 anyway, and you can see we're still over 23 miles away, so we're at a decent height at the moment. So imagine we've got another heading adjustment, turn right heading 075 degrees, kind of just self-vector myself onto the ILS. And actually one thing I can actually do now is extend the centre line from CI12, and to extend the centre line all you have to do is line select key where it says intercept course, put the inbound course in, put 116 and execute, and it makes it look a lot tidier in the ND and the FMC. I'll just show you that finger trouble. There you go, it just puts a nice straight magenta line on, and that's it. So imagine we've been cleared to intercept the localizer, so I can arm Vorlock. I know most of you already seen me do an ILS approach before, but I thought it's something you'd like to see again. So I've armed Vorlock, see outside the first officer's window, looking nice. This is some freeware scenery I got for all the Canary Islands. I'll provide a link in the description to get it, but it is really, really good for something that doesn't cost anything. Excellent, so I've already reduced the speed to the up speed, nice and slow. It's actually quite early to do that, probably wouldn't have gone so slow so quickly. That's because I'm in VNAV and it's already gone to the decel speed, so I'm not sure why it's done that. All I'm going to do is open the speed window and accelerate a bit so we don't spend the whole day on this approach. There we go, reset MCP altitude, we can clear. I forgot to mention, you probably didn't realise this, but Tenerife North is where the world's worst aviation accident happened. I think it was 1977, the Pan Am and KLM 747 that collided on the runway. It's thanks to that a lot of the CRM we use today came from that incident, so to help prevent that happening again we use good crew resource management all times. Good, so there's Vorlock capture. We can match runway heading, which is 117. It's actually 116, but I think PMDG changes it if it's different to what it is in real life. There we can see his glide slope alive, so we can start reducing speed now to the up speed. And imagine that Tenerife Tower, or Tenerife approach, sorry, has cleared us to descend to 4,000 feet. So that is now set, 4,000 feet checked. And all I'm going to use is, because I don't want to get too low, is vertical speed and start a nice gentle descent at about 400 feet per minute. And try and maintain that continuous descent all the way onto the approach. So now we're on final, approaching 10 miles. I'll think about using flat 1, and because we're below the glide path I can arm the approach as well, so approach is armed. So VNAV is showing us 1,200 feet high. I'm not sure, absolutely have no idea why that's the case. Certainly we're not 1,200 feet high, if anything we're a little bit low. Maybe if I just route direct to Foxtrot India 12, might clear it up. Execute. No, I have no idea. I think it could be something to do with a restriction I've got in there. Who knows? Alright, approaching glide slope capture in 10 miles, so I'm going to select flat 1. There's glide slope capture, so we confirm the missed approach altitude, 6,000 feet, is now set. You can see on the approach chart the missed approach altitude is 6,000 feet. And we'll match speed for flat 1. Approaching 10 miles there. We don't want to be doing too much more than 200 knots, so I'm going to go straight to select flat 5, bring the speed back. And just a touch of speed brake just to help the aeroplane decelerate at the moment. It's going a little bit fast. The VNAV profile's coming back in now. We should be bang on profile now as we're on the glide path. I think it's because I've got this restriction in at 4,000 feet at Foxtrot India 1-2, and it should be 4,000 feet or above. That would be why that restriction's there. So looking outside, speed's coming back. You can select flap 10 now. So flap 10 you can select below 210 knots. It's a very useful flap setting if you want to increase drag, but it is not permitted to have more than flap 10 with speed brake extended. So if I went gear down flap 15, I must have the speed brake stowed prior to doing that. So everything's looking good. Excellent. You can see the Pappies coming into view for Tenerife North. And I can stow the speed brake, the speed's coming back nicely. So imagine we've contacted Tenerife North Tower and they've cleared us to land. And let me just check the live weather at the moment in Tenerife North. The surface wind is about 15010 knots. And we've got 12010, so that's making sense as well. Excellent. I've done the descent checklist, I've done the approach checklist, all looking good. And this, remember, was all from a diversion from Tenerife South, and we still have plenty of fuel, about 3 tons left, which is enough for about another hour and a half's worth of flying, or another hour until we get to the reserve fuel amount. Excellent. Beautiful scenery coming over Tenerife North. You can see island to the right, very nice from the first officer's seat as well. Excellent. The first officer as well, or the pilot monitoring I should say, should have the VSD up, which is a useful display. You can see the airport depicted, the runway on top of the train there. Good, so approaching 4 miles, we'll go gear down, flap 15, match the speed, do the landing checklist of flaps. So start switches are continuous, recall, checked speed brake, arm green lights. Landing gear we have down with 3 green, order brake is 3, holding on flaps, so we're going to use flap 30 today. I've already calculated the landing performance for that. Select flap 30, match the speed to VREF plus 5. And we then complete the landing checklist, so we go to the init ref page, so we can see flap 30 required, 30 selected, and we have the green light there, and the landing lights are all on. We've been cleared to land. Alrighty, so as my usual trick, bring up the PFD, zoom in a little bit to make it easier, and I'll disconnect the autopilot and auto throttle so you can see the bottom right hand corner, that N1 about 45% to maintain speed. And we've got attitude of about 2 degrees, and that's your target attitude and thrust setting for final approach. So initially following the flight directors, which I always do. You can see the Pappies there. Adding a little bit of thrust just to correct for the speed. Top of the amber band, 500 continue, that's checked. Interesting, looking out the runway I can see some masts on the threshold of runway 12. I'm sure they're not there in real life. It's a bit of a interesting autogeneric scenery. Anyway, minimums we'd say land. I'm just going to fly a little bit to the right there because I don't want to clip my left wing on that mast. Something always happens in my tutorials. And there we go. They are most definitely not there in real life. Oh, hopefully I won't clip the wing. There we go. Alright, interesting. So over the threshold at about 50 feet. 50, 40, 30. Check. Close the thrust levers, just holding that attitude. There we go. Touchdown. Speed brake up. And select reverse thrust. And passing 100 knots. 80 knots. 60 knots, cancelling reverse, and disengaging the order brake. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tenerife North, where we nearly lost our left wing due to a very poorly placed mast. Certainly wasn't in the NOTAMs when I checked those earlier. So, vacate on the left, and I'll just bring it to a stop on the side of the runway. Perfect, and we'll bring it to a stop there. Anyway guys, that's it. Welcome to Tenerife North. That's the end of the how to divert to an alternate airfield. I hope you found that interesting and learned something new. As ever, if you have any questions, feel free to leave that in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, fly safe, and I'll see you again very, very soon.